guys, thank you for tuning into our video today. Alan and I are going to demonstrate 3 of our favorite fishing knots on our personal setups. But before we begin, if you are a beginner or if you are trying to teach a kid how to tie a fishing knot, a simple tool that you can use is something like a block with a hook screw on it and some yarn. It's a little easier to visualize, and it also has a safer option so it doesn't have the hook exposed. So now let's get into our favorite fishing knots.
Okay, let's get started. Our first knot is the Fisherman's knot, the clinch knot. I've heard it called a lot of different things. It's the first knot that you probably learned the first time you ever went fishing. And if you are new to the sport, or if you're trying to teach your kids how to fish, this is the knot that I would recommend starting out with. First things first, I was going to show you on 12-pound fluorocarbon line. It's just very, very hard to see. So let's show you on our fishing line, aka our yarn, and our fishing lure, aka our wooden block. Here we go. So take your feed line, go through the hook, and then now you're going to take the feed end and start wrapping it around the original line coming from your rod. I'd say give it about 5 to 6, maybe 7 loops, and that's all she wrote. So at this point, you can see I've got a nice twisted line here in the middle. I've got my feed end, and I've got my end coming from my rod. Take the end of the line and go down through this big hole that you have at the bottom, and the loop that you create with your line is what you come back up through. So hopefully you can see that. I'm gonna go down through the big hole, and then I'm gonna come back up through this hole that I just made. And now with all your twists and that knot, that is your knot, I'm gonna loosely pull it down to the base of my hook and let everything kind of cinch down on itself, start to tighten, and then you're pulling this loose end, and there you have it. There's your knot fully tightened down. Any type of line, this will work. Well, I'm actually gonna use my line cutters to cut off the tag end, and then at that point, you are ready to go fish. So hopefully that was easy to follow, and now Jessica and I are gonna break down 2 of our other favorite knots that are a little bit more complicated that we use all the time.
Here I'm going to show you the Palomar knot. This is my favorite fishing knot, and I like to use it a lot when I have a heavier lure like a jig with a trailer or a spinnerbait. You can do this knot on any line. I'm going to demonstrate using braided line, and the combo I'm going to use is an Arkansas Shiner Underspin by Spot Sticker and the Baby Brim Finesse Swimmer by Big Bite Baits. To start, you have your open end that's not attached to anything, and then you have the other end that's attached to your rod and reel. Take that open end, fold it in half so that you have created a loop, just like that. Now take that loop and pinch it down. Sometimes you have to wet it so that it is flat enough. Stick it through the top of your lure and feed it through, so just like that. So in my one hand I have the open end and then the end attached to the rod and reel, and then the other end I have the loop still attached. Create with a loop in, create a half knot, and don't pull it all the way down, so you still have that loop in your other hand. Now you're gonna have to create and open that loop in so that the whole lure can fit through this loop in. So start to slide down slightly. Your hand in one side, the other side of the non-loop in does not move in this process. So take the loop in, feed your whole lure through the loop. Now your other hand starts to gradually, slowly pull to close the knot. And to finish it off, take the end that's not attached to your rod and reel and pull it tight, just so that's extra tight. And that's the end you're gonna cut off. So just to show you the knot real quick. And now I'm gonna use my line cutters to cut that tag. And there you have the Palomar knot.
And now I'm going to demonstrate the Trilene knot. This is one of Jessica's and my favorite knots to use. We only use this knot on fluorocarbon or monofilament. Disclaimer, do not use this knot on braid. Just doesn't work. But it works great on fluorocarbon. I'm going to show it to you on 12-pound fluorocarbon with a spot sticker, shaky head hook. As a little bonus, I'm going to show you the worm that Jessica used on this particular hook to catch her 7-pound personal best this year. It was actually on this 7.5-inch sunfish laminate torf swim worm from Big Bite Baits. I'm sure she'd love for me to dwell on that, but let's get back to this knot, shall we? It's a Trilene knot, like I mentioned earlier. First things first, you're going to take your feed end and you're going to go through your hook. After you've gotten it into the hook, you're actually going to do that one more time. So take the feed end, keep your finger down here at the hook, and go back through the bottom of the hook. Once you do that, there should be a loop that you leave in place around your finger that you're going to have to keep there. And we'll get back to that in a moment. So right now, I've got my feed end coming from my rod. I've got my loose end that I have ready to tie the rest of my knot. And then I'll have a loop here at the bottom where my finger is, where it is going through my hook twice. So now you take your feed end, you're gonna loop around the base end about 6-7 times, just like you did with the Fisherman's knot. So let me go ahead and get my twists out of the way. And then after you're done twisting up your line, you're gonna take the feed end and you're gonna go down through the loops that you're holding here with your finger. So again, let me get this loose out. All right, so taking this end through here, and then the loop that you just created, this big loop up here at the top, that's where you're gonna actually come back through with your loose end. So taking it, and I'm gonna go back up through here. Now, all of this needs to cinch down on itself. All of this loose line, pulling it down, and cinching it down on itself there at the end. So now you have one line coming through, one tag line to cut, 2 lines of fluoro going into your hook. So again, very, very strong knot. I'm gonna take my line cutters here, cut off my tag end from my hook. And there you have it. That's the Trilene knot, and it ain't going nowhere.